Okay, so I want you to think back to that year. For some of you, it was longer. For some of you, it was shorter. But you probably learned a lot since then. But and we're going to get to that. But if you were to describe that person in a couple of sentences, what would you say about them? How would you describe yourself? I see Rachel over there looking really thoughtful, so I'm going to just jump in and throw it to you.
Um, I was just having a blast at that point. Like I had no plans. By the time the book came out, I had a master's. I just graduated with my master's degree in student affairs, and I was pregnant.
Oh my goodness.
And so I just thought, this is what wonderful fun. This is so great. I had no idea that I was going to do this as a living. I had no idea that you could do this for a living. Um, so when I won the award, that was just a culmination of how much fun is this? I mean, Georgia Beers hugged me when I won, and I was like, I have arrived. This is a great life. But I didn't have any concept of myself as a writer. I had not majored in English. I did not have great plans to. Oh, George is here. I I was having so much fun, but I did not have any long-term plans or concept of this as being a part of something bigger or the start of something bigger. It was just a wild ride for,
Yeah.
somebody who still very much felt like the kid in the room at that point.
I think that's common when you're just starting out. You're just having the best time at it, and there's things ahead that you couldn't perceive. Paul, what about you? How would you describe 2011, Paul?
It was weird because I've been a member of GCLS pretty much since day one. And I'd been to BardCons and stuff before that, that was the pre-GCLS land that happened. And so my clearest memory of that night is sitting at the table, and it was Erica Abbott's first GCLS. And we're sitting there, and I've been to all of them, all of the cons, except I think one at that point. And I still had no concept of the order that the awards were given. So I'm sitting at the table, and Erica's like, "Aren't you nervous?" And I'm like, "No," because I had absolutely no faith that I would win. And I didn't even know when it appeared in the awards thing. So I went to say something to Karen and realized Karen wasn't next to me. I thought, that's funny. She must have had to go to the bathroom. I mean, I was utterly clueless. So in one word, I guess clueless would be the best description. And then I turn around and look, and Karen's up on the stage announcing debut author. And I remember she said, and the first winner is, and she opened it and giggled and said, "Open Water" by Paul Robinson. And I was like, oh. And Erica smacked me on the shoulder and said, "That's you." And I was like, I had to get up and go. It was so funny because I was like, oh, that's me. It was the weirdest thing. So clueless, I think, is the best way to describe me in
We'll take
2011.
it.
And then I got to sit at the big kids table, so that was kind of neat. Kind of like Ray, I was like, wow, I'm sitting with these people now.
That's so cool.
But then you all blew past me with a million novels after that. So
Of Karen, going back to 2009, how would you describe yourself then?
Certainly not thinking that this could turn into anything bigger in my life at that point. We'll probably cover this with some other questions, but if people remember back, this was kind of the height of the recession. Brick and mortar bookstores were closing. Publishers were getting tons of returns of books, so sales were going nowhere at that point in time. I didn't attend GCLS in 2009. I think I saw it online or got an email the next morning, and I was like, what? But then I think the GCLS presenters, all the people who couldn't be there to accept their awards, they put those boxes on a table, and the hotel staff threw them away.
Oh no.
So somebody at GCLS had to dumpster dive to find these awards and dig them out and then eventually get them in the mail. And this like 3 months had gone by, and I'm emailing Rachel and I'm like, hey, this is going to be a weird question, but did you actually get an award? I mean, is there like a thing that comes? Because I didn't know. So that kind of summed up my experience at that point in time.
Oh my goodness. I remember you winning awards in the future, so hopefully you got those to take home with you. Yes. Okay, good. So it was rectified. All right. And Jean, I'm going to come to you next. What words would you use to describe yourself then?
I was a late bloomer. I was 45 when my debut novel came out, and I would say boundlessly optimistic, and also pretty shell-shocked that my debut that had taken so long to get in print actually, was a finalist, never mind a winner. And I remember being at the event, kind of feeling like it was like the Academy Awards of lesbian literature. And I'm looking around at everyone, and it was so surreal. And then when my name is called, I was like, wow, winning awards is fun and easy. First time experience. I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll go with it. But it really just was a wonderfully optimistic time in my life, and just having the printed copy of the book was all the award I ever thought that I would need. But boy, getting that GCLS and holding that heavy award was a really nice experience.
Yeah, and I'm hearing a lot of common threads through the answers. Everybody's wide-eyed and excited and just having the best time. Julie, would you agree with that sentiment? How would you describe yourself?
I think if I was to describe myself back then, I felt like I had a unique story to tell, one that hadn't been written before. And I actually started as a fan. I started as reading books from the Naiad Press a long time ago, and get the flyer in the mail and reading everything I could. And then when I got into technical flying stuff, it was more, I kind of got away from that. And then just a few years ago, a friend said, you need to read these books by this person named Radcliffe. I'm like, okay, I'll try that out. So that's how I got interested in writing lesbian fiction. And it really wasn't even a burning interest. It was more like a response. I had read something that was supposed to be about flying, and I didn't care for it. And I thought, well, I can do a better job than that. So that was kind of why I started writing my book. And also, I wanted people to understand just a little bit about what it's like to go through military flight training. It was the most dramatic thing in my life, and memories from that were burned into my brain. And so it just was a story that I felt I had to tell.